So this camera is 10 years old, and you can buy one right now for about $400. And I have no plans to replace this camera for astrophotography. And I've had people tell me over and over again that I'm leaving real performance on the table, that modern mirrorless sensors have passed the performance of this sensor, and that this is the point that I'm just shooting this for nostalgia and not for logic. And today I want to show you why they're all wrong. So this is a Nikon D810 that came out in 2014. 36 megapixels, full frame, and has a native base of ISO 64, the lowest of any Nikon DSLR ever made. This camera was not designed for speed, not designed for video, not designed for burst shooting. It was designed for one thing above everything else: dynamic range. It had the lowest possible read noise across the entire ISO range. This is the kind of sensor that gives you performance when you're extracting shadow detail from a scene that's barely lit. And this is exactly what astrophotography asks of a camera every single time. So here's the question worth asking. Modern mirrorless cameras that cost 3 times more than what you would pay for a used D810 right now. They have better autofocus, better in-body stabilization, faster burst rates, real-time electronic viewfinders. By almost every spec on paper, they've moved the needle significantly. So why do I keep reaching for a DSLR that's over 10 years old with no IBIS, no EVF, and a shutter that sounds like a car door? So let me be specific about what I mean. So you're shooting the Milky Way and you're on a tripod. You're not moving, you're not tracking a subject. IBIS does nothing for you. Fast autofocus doesn't mean anything. Burst rate doesn't get you anywhere. There's only 3 things that matter: read noise, base ISO, and dynamic range. So read noise is the electronic noise that a sensor generates just by being on, before any light hits it. And the D810 has exceptionally low read noise for its era, lower than most cameras that even came out years later. And that matters at night because a long exposure in the dark is essentially a read noise test. And the cleaner the sensor is with read noise, the cleaner the file is. So now you have base ISO, and the D810 supports a base ISO of 64. Most modern cameras bottom out at 100, some bottom out at 200. The D10 gives you a base ISO of 64, which is perfect for your foreground exposure. 4 minutes of clean data hitting the sensor at the absolute floor, and that's not a small thing. It's a shadow detail advantage that shows in every finished file. And last but not least is dynamic range, and that is how much detail the shadows can hold and how much the highlights can hold, and the area in between that. And the D810 still to this day has some of the best dynamic range of any DSLR out there, and that's really what matters. So this is actually how I use it, and these are the specific settings that I typically come back to every time. For a sky exposure, the Milky Way itself, I typically shoot that at about ISO 1600. My aperture is f2.8. I have the widest lens I own on the camera, which is a 15mm. My shutter speed is typically done with the NPF rule at whatever focal length I'm using. So for example, a 20mm lens typically puts me somewhere in the 20 to 25 second area before I start to see the stars blur. So for focus, that's pretty simple. I find the brightest star that I can, I switch to live view, I zoom in to 10x magnification, I focus it until the star is small and as sharp as I can get it, and then I lock the focus ring down with tape. So I like to use a remote shutter release with a 2-second mirror delay on my camera. Now, at a 15mm focal length, mirror slap really isn't much an issue. But for longer exposures, and especially with a longer lens, mirror slap can actually introduce vibration and soften the stars. So now I just do that automatically. And for the foreground, if there's residual twilight, or I want a clean foreground exposure, I drop the ISO to 64. Keep the shutter open for 3 to 4 minutes depending on the conditions. The same tripod location, the same composition. I just blend those 2 files together in Photoshop. And the D810 makes that blending process easy. Both exposures come from the same sensor, the tonal character matches it, and there's really no difference. This is the entire workflow. It hasn't changed for me in years, and I really have no reason to change it. So this is what the D810 produces under a dark sky. A 1 sky exposure at ISO 1600 and a 1 foreground exposure at ISO 64. And this is a $400 camera. So look at the Milky Way, the structure in the core, the tones from the horizon to the darkest part of the sky. That's coming from a sensor that Nikon designed in 2014, specifically to hold detail in the hardest conditions. And then we have the foreground, ISO 64, 4 minutes, no visible noise, shadow detail intact. That's the kind of tonal depth that makes this image feel grounded. So here's what I'm going to tell you. The D810 is not the most convenient camera to take out at night. It's heavy, focusing in the dark is difficult, and it's 2026 and you're carrying technology that was state-of-the-art in 2014. But astrophotography is slow photography. You're not chasing anything. You're not reacting to anything. You're standing still in the dark, waiting for light that has been traveling for millions of years to land on your sensor for 25 seconds. Every modern advantage that makes other cameras better at other things, IBIS, fast autofocus, burst rates, real-time exposure preview, none of that applies. What applies are those 3 things we spoke about earlier: read noise, dynamic range, and base ISO. And those 3 things, the D810 still rules. So I keep reaching for this camera, not out of sentimental value, but because when I go through the files, the quality is still there. And if you have one of these sitting in your bag somewhere, take it to a dark sky location and see what you bring back. So do me a favor, if you liked this video and you felt like it was useful, subscribe. I try to put a new video out every week. And if you're shooting the night sky with some older equipment or even some other brands, and you're wondering whether it's worth the upgrade, drop me a comment. I like to read everyone. Thanks for watching the video.